Tom Simmons stands in the shop, sawdust settling around him like a benediction. He's building something, maybe a kitchen, maybe a life. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes. True growth often comes from the ashes of our greatest challenges, he says. He would know. Machine gunner turned Capitol Hill staffer turned Episcopal priest. Not your typical resume, but then again, nothing about Simmons follows the script. Since 2002, he served as rector of St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Purcellville, Virginia, where he lives with his family. Before that, it was infantry, politics. The kind of background that makes you wonder how someone lands in ministry. The answer's simpler than you'd think. He wanted to lift up Jesus Christ above what he calls counterfeit gods, through great liturgy, preaching and teaching. He still does. Tom Simmons has successfully built a ministry on questions, not answers. Most preachers will tell you what to think. Tom Simmons asks what you're thinking. It's the difference between a lecture and a conversation, between being told and being heard. He learned this the hard way, back when his own preaching felt stale. Burned out, even. Years of sermons that went nowhere. He was investing the time but not getting results. He was stuck. So he did something about it. Earned a Doctor of Ministry in Preaching from Gordon Conwell Seminary in 2017, studying under legendary preacher Haddon Robinson. The program helped him move. People noticed the difference on Sunday mornings. That success sparked an idea: if a coaching relationship could help him improve, why not offer it to others? Enter the sermon coach. All my teaching and consulting experience has taught me that what builds a relationship, what solves problems, what moves things forward is asking the right questions, says Edgar Schein, Professor Emeritus of Management at MIT. Simmons quotes him often. It's the foundation of his coaching philosophy. He doesn't critique sermons or hand out advice. He builds trust, asks powerful questions, helps clergy discover new perspectives, articulate goals and devise their own solutions. A year-long course with coaching sessions twice per month. The flexibility works because there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Preachers walk away with reduced stress levels. They see more in Scripture, rely less on commentaries, and streamline their preparation process. Their creative juices flow more freely, and yes, people notice on Sunday morning. I've enjoyed the sense of being empowered to be a better preacher, one client named Dave says. You ask lots of good questions without jumping in and telling me how to do something. It makes it fun for me to preach, and be excited about the changes I'm making. The program isn't magic. It's a method. The kind of disciplined work Simmons learned in the infantry, refined on Capitol Hill, and now applies to ministry. He earned a Master of Divinity from Westminster Seminary in 1993 and a Master of Arts in Christian Education from Virginia Seminary in 1998. The credentials matter, but the questions matter more. Family, faith and the forces pulling people apart. Family relationships are often where God's grace and truth are first and vividly experienced. Or not. So Tom Simmons has sought to equip husbands and wives, parents and grandparents and kids of all ages to believe Jesus, follow Jesus, share Jesus with the people in their lives. Jesus helps each of us love and serve others. That's the secret sauce that strengthens marriages, improves parenting, and brings siblings together. Each of us has our own emotional turbulence. Anger, fear, shame, longing, and the wounds we bear from the past that make our closest relationships often our most painful. Commercial and ideological currents in society make it worse. Forces outside families work to draw people apart, to instill suspicion and alienation, to distract with a non-stop pace of busyness. The results are well documented in books like Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation, and Abigail Shrier's Bad Therapy. These challenges must be named and addressed in preaching, in congregation Bible studies and in pastoral care. He's seen a lot over the years of how anger, mental health issues, overcommitment and busyness, substance abuse, pornography and ideological polarization burden people's emotional lives and strain their relationships. One of the ministries he's most proud of at St. Peter's is the marriage mentor couples. For the last 20 years or so, there have been 4 couples trained to come alongside couples preparing for marriage or seeking to enrich their marriage. They use a powerful instrument called Prepare, Enrich, a battery of 100 or so statements about marriage covering money, communication, in-law relationships, kids and sex. These are crafted to express expectations. Each member of the couple responds with, agree, disagree, or undecided. The program produces a report showing areas of agreement and areas where expectations differ. The mentor couple facilitates good conversations and helps the couple decide on the best ways to deal with them together. Many dozens of couples have prepared with the mentor couples over the years. St. Peter's is sought after as a beautiful place to get married from people outside the church. It has had a huge impact on marriages in the congregation and community. From Purcellville to Guatemala to Liberia Street, Peters was involved in the founding of 2 organizations that have grown strongly over the last 15 years. The first is Mosaic, a crisis pregnancy center that started in Leesburg and has expanded to 6 locations in Northern Virginia. The second is Tree of Life, which started as a food pantry in Purcellville and has expanded its ministry to include job counseling, family counseling, a thrift store and cafe, local housing for at-risk families, community meals and grocery delivery. People from St. Peter's were involved in the founding of these organizations and continue to serve as senior staff and volunteers. They are integral partners to the ministry of St. Peter's. The congregation invests effort and money in serving with partners in Guatemala. Annual trips have grown to include many teens and young adults outside of St. Peter's. The church used to do a lot of ministry in Liberia, but in the last 10 years that has fallen off. In 2026, they're picking up those efforts in a big way. They're working with a long-term partner, St. Thomas Church in Monrovia, and with stateside partners at See Jesus Ministries. They've developed an excellent Bible study curriculum called The Person of Jesus. Simple and rich, it facilitates deeper intimacy with Jesus and inspires people to love like Jesus. They hope to develop many new partnerships in Liberia, training leaders to form new Bible study groups in outlying towns and villages. They'd like to return year over year, as they have in Guatemala and in the Amazon basin. It's just part of the culture Tim Simmons has cultivated in St. Peter's. Hospitality, welcome, care. Ministry is a team effort and the people make sure people at all ages and stages are seen, heard and cared for. Creation in wood and the craft of making something beautiful. Woodworking is a passion, a hobby and a side business called Creation in Wood. Tom Simmons loves making things that are beautiful and useful. Furniture, toys, interiors, casework, kitchens. The bigger the project the better. To support this output, he and his wife Danielle have added furniture refinishing to their repertoire. Together with friends, they're outfitting a new shop, restoring 100-year-old machinery and building more capacity for the future. It's not just about the craft, it's about creation. Making something from nothing or being from something broken. There's a theology in that. The same theology that drives his preaching, his coaching, his counseling. People aren't problems to fix. They're raw material waiting to be shaped. He also teaches shop class to 7th graders at Good Shepherd School in Loudoun County. Has been active in the community as chaplain for the Purcellville Volunteer Rescue Squad and on the board of Inova Loudoun Hospital. Served on the board of Coaching Mission International, a nonprofit dedicated to providing coaching services for frontline missionaries. Tom Simmons grew up in Fairfax, served as a machine gunner in 3 116th Infantry Battalion and worked as a Capitol Hill staffer in the House and Senate. Before giving his life to the church, he had another life entirely, but that life wasn't wasted. It prepared him, shaped him and gave him the tools to ask better questions. Leadership is not about having all the answers, but about empowering others to find theirs, he says. He loves studying, playing strategy games, shooting, and preaching. He delights to see people's lives change for the better. That's the through line. From the battlefield to Capitol Hill to the pulpit to the woodshop. Always building, always asking and always making space for people to grow.